You're watching this at 2x speed, aren't you? Right now, my voice sounds like a caffeinated chipmunk in your headphones, and somehow that feels completely normal to you. You're not alone. Millions of people have quietly rewired how they consume the world. Podcasts at 2.5x, YouTube lectures at 2x, audiobooks barely below triple speed. And they all tell themselves the same thing. I'm just being efficient. But efficiency isn't the whole story. Because psychology has a very different explanation for why some people can't slow down, even when they desperately need to. And by the end of this video, you might recognize something in yourself that you've never had a word for. Let's get into it. It starts innocently. You discover you can speed up a podcast and still follow it. 1.5x, easy. Then 1.75x, then 2x. And after a few weeks, normal speed sounds like someone talking through wet cement. Pick up slightly, playful but pointed. You start skipping YouTube intros. You scrub through slow parts of documentaries. You feel genuine frustration when someone speaks at a normal human pace in a meeting. You think, just get to the point. Why is everyone so slow? That frustration, that's data. Ground it. Calm and factual. A 2020 study out of UC San Diego found that the average American consumes about 74 gigabytes of information every single day, roughly equivalent to reading 16 full-length novels daily. And the brain adapts. It gets faster, and then it gets impatient. But here's where it gets interesting. The 2x speed habit isn't only about processing more. It's about something much deeper in the psychology of the person behind the headphones. Psychologists have identified 3 distinct profiles of people who speed run their media, and they don't all look the same. Profile 1, the optimizer. This person sees time as a non-renewable resource. Every minute at 1x when 2x is possible is a minute wasted. They're often high achievers, driven, competitive. Their reading list has 60 unfinished books. Their podcast queue never reaches 0. They don't have a consumption problem. They have an ambition problem wearing a productivity costume. Profile 2, the anxious learner. This person speeds through content not because they love efficiency, but because they're terrified of falling behind, of not knowing enough, of being caught off guard. The speed isn't power, it's armor. Every podcast is protection. Every video is insurance. And somewhere underneath, there's a voice that says, if I just know more, I'll finally be okay. That voice is worth paying attention to. Profile 3, the understimulated brain. Some people use 2x because their brain is wired for higher than average stimulation. Normal speed isn't just boring, it's neurologically insufficient. Research on ADHD and high sensory processing thresholds shows that some brains require more input just to reach baseline engagement. For them, 2x isn't fast. 1x is slow motion. Pause. Then quietly drop this. If you've always felt like your brain runs at a different speed than the room, this might explain more than just your podcast app settings. Shift tone. You're about to challenge them, but like a smart friend, not a lecturer. Here's what the productivity influencers won't tell you. Speed has a tax. Measured. Let each sentence land before moving to the next. A 2019 study in the journal Applied Cognitive Psychology found that people who consumed lectures at 2x speed showed significantly lower retention, not immediately, but 48 hours later. The content went in, it just didn't stay. Because retention isn't about input speed, it's about processing time. The brain needs micro pauses, brief moments of silence to transfer information from working memory to long-term memory. Speed running content eliminates those pauses. You get the data, you lose the depth. Pause. Then deliver this next section with quiet weight. Let them sit with it. But there's something even more significant than retention. There's presence.
When you consume everything faster, you train your nervous system for speed, and speed becomes your default, not just for podcasts, for people. You sit in a real conversation, a friend telling you something hard, a parent sharing a memory, and part of your brain is already skipping ahead, already waiting for the point, already restless in the silence. You become a 2x person in a 1x world. And the most important moments in life don't have a skip button. Grief doesn't. Real connection doesn't. The way someone looks at you when they finally feel understood, that happens in real time, at 1x, in the pauses you've been training to eliminate. You might miss those moments, not because you don't care, but because your brain has been optimized past the speed at which they occur. Come back up, warmer, less intense. This is a reframe, not a verdict. I'm not here to tell you 2x speed is a character flaw. For the right content, a lecture you need to review, a podcast you've already heard, a video essay on a topic you know cold, speed is genuinely useful, smart even. The question isn't whether you use 2x, it's whether 2x uses you. Direct. Invite honest self-reflection without pressure. Do you reach for the speed button the moment something feels slow? Does silence make you anxious? Do you feel guilty when you're consuming something? Have you forgotten what it's like to be bored, genuinely, productively bored, without immediately filling the space? If yes, that's not a productivity system, that's a coping mechanism. Grounded. No judgment, just honesty. And there's nothing wrong with coping mechanisms until they start costing you things you didn't notice you were losing. Depth, presence, the ability to sit with an idea long enough to let it actually change you. Warm, grounding, a perspective shift. The people who have shaped history, Newton, Darwin, Einstein, were famously slow thinkers, not because they processed less, because they processed differently, deeper. Newton spent days staring at a single problem before touching a pen. Darwin took 20 years to publish a theory he'd already figured out. They weren't slow, they were thorough. Gentle, almost quiet. The world doesn't need you to consume more, it needs you to understand more. And sometimes those two things are moving in opposite directions. Warm, direct, slightly conspiratorial, like a closing conversation between people who think the same way. So, whether you're watching this at 2x, 1.5x, or somehow, miraculously, at normal speed, here's what I want you to take away. Your speed habit says something real about how you're wired. Maybe you're ambitious, maybe you're anxious, maybe your brain craves stimulation that ordinary life doesn't provide. All of those are worth knowing about yourself. The goal isn't to slow down. The goal is to choose your speed on purpose. Smile in your voice, light and real. Try this. Next time you reach for the speed button, just notice why. Not to stop yourself, just to see yourself. Because self-awareness is the one thing you genuinely cannot consume faster. Confident, natural close. Never salesy. If this made you think differently about how you think, subscribe. We do this a few times a week, and the next video is about people who over-research everything but never actually start. If that one is going to hit uncomfortably close to home, I'll see you there.